campaign train of the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Bola Tinubu, lands at the Gombe International Airport and was received by his teammate, Senator Kashim Shettima, APC National Chairman, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, Governor Inuwa Yahya, and other party chieftains. Leaders of the party want the Northeast to acknowledge the efforts of the APC administration in rebuilding the region.
The APC administration helped us to discover oil here. The entire Northeast would have to reciprocate this gesture by voting for the APC in appreciation. APC is well grounded in Gombe State, and we will win all elections comfortably. I urge you all to vote for the APC at all levels.
An excited Tinubu applauds the people of Gombe State for the reception, promising to deliver dividends of democracy when elected.
You will see rapid development that will make Gombe State one of the richest in Nigeria or Africa.
The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, who also addressed the supporters on behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari, pleads with the voters to support the party and its candidates at all levels.
President Muhammadu Buhari has declared support for Tinubu and all candidates of the APC in the forthcoming elections. His support is binding on everyone in this administration to equally support all candidates.
Nigeria!
Others in attendance were the Director General of the party's Presidential Campaign Council, Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State, Governor Maima Labuni of Yobe State, Governor Babagana Zulum of Borno State, and Governor Muhammad Badaru of Jigawa State.
Well, as you can see there, Adamu Garba joins us this morning. He is Deputy Director, Media, Tinubu Shettima Grassroots Independent Campaign Council. Thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Garba. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you.
Yes, good morning. So the natural question to ask you first is, how is the campaign going? There are those who are wondering whether or not your campaign has ended, or maybe some adjustments made to the schedule.
Our campaign has been going very fantastically well. You just played a report about our outing in Gombe State, one of the best outings so far that we have in the APC. And today we will be in Imo State. The new timetable has been revised and even distributed across to all the interesting parties within the campaign. Our campaign has been doing very, very well. I think there is no any political party in Nigeria that is campaigning as much as the APC, campaigning both to the top and to the down. You know, from the grassroots level, a lot of activities is going on. From the rallies and town hall meetings, a lot are going on. Our timetable is public, and we have been moving around. I think this is one of the most interesting campaigns that the country has ever seen so far. Very energetic, policy-driven, and with a lot of excitement. So I think our campaign is going very, very well.
Well, one of the issues to address then would be, I mean, seeing that you are the in charge of grassroots mobilization and all, the question that one would want to ask is, how are you being received? You know, how is your campaign, your message being received by people, especially in the light of the cash crunch that's held many parts of the country and no less people in the grassroots?
To be very candid with you, the cash policy significantly affected some of our some of our support base at the grassroots level. We have been doing a lot of extensive work at the grassroots level. We put a lot of structures around all the polling units in the country, and there are a lot of canvassing, there are a lot of explanation that needed to be done about the need for APC to continue in the government. But the cash design policy was one of the issues that we faced, in addition to also the fuel scarcity. But we thank God, since this country is a country that is governed by law, and we have a Supreme Court judgment that came out very clearly, emphatically, stating the fact that all Nigerians have to comply. Let's ease the process. Let allow the old Naira notes and the new Naira note. Let the policy be suspended so that there can be ease of the policy at the grassroots level. This has provided some succor, in addition to some of our courageous government and also governors in the states that have done active campaign to be able to assuage the people, not to see this as an affront towards them, but as a policy that is coming from the angle that might have been misinformed in terms of implementation. You just was on the studio with the learned Nigerian luminary, Chief Femi Falana, SAN, who was very emphatic and clear about the situation and some breaking of the law in terms of trying to force this policy as some form of dictatorship as opposed to the country governed by law. But the law was there. We have the respected elder statesmen in the country, in a council of state that sat together again and further reiterate the fact that this policy have to be eased out, that the money, the old currency and the new currency must be allowed to coexist as it is done all over the world, because this is a standard all over the world. You don't replace a country, a currency that has been existing for 20 years just overnight, within 90 days. It can't work that way, So I believe the country's law, the country's governance system has checked that excesses, and now life is easing out. And for some people that are in the city centers, they know that they don't really need cash. They can be able to stay digital, although we have only 9% of the entire Nigerian population, the bankable population, that are using digital network. The remaining percentage, about 91%, are still using the cash system. So we can't just do this kind of revolutionary change within 90 days. It has to take some time. It has to take a framework. And the fact that it's a good policy, everyone appreciated that it's a good policy. Since we are aiming for APC government to
Mr. Garba, just 1 second, if you can hear me. Well, questions abound as to whether or not people see it the way you are seeing it, whether there's been any succor at any level at all, because I don't know how easy it has been for you to access any cash, be it old or new. So when you say then that the policy has significantly affected your grassroots mobilization, exactly what do you mean? I know that you said the governors are making inroads and all, but this policy came from a government, the federal government, that is led by an APC administration. So how do you market to the people to continue in government when this latest policy of your government is, as you say, anti-people?
You see, one of the good things with Nigerians is their capacity to listen and understand. And they know that government is a system. It's not just an individual. And it has different organs and institutions that run the affairs of the entire system. So we have a president, we have an independent body called Central Bank of Nigeria that is responsible for the monetary policies. And this policy framework has been a back and forth for some time. The fact that there are wrong approach to implementation means that it is a usual process where we experience mistake in the governance system of the country, and usually it's corrected. So yes, it is coming from the APC government. Yes, it is put on the throat of Nigerians to accept it. But I can tell you that what happened actually was the policy of the central bank. Because the central bank have constitutional right to do this, the central bank put an implementation framework that does not conform and does not allow the process to naturally take its course as in the course to the law. It was just like, look, you guys have to drop this your currency and come back to the new currency, even if you can have access to it. So it's not really a good policy. And that is why the government has taken proactive measures. The same APC government, meaning that another organ of the government, the Supreme Court of Nigeria, came and said, no, this is not the right thing. And then we have the highest advisory body of the country, the Council of State, coming together to say, no, this is not the right thing. Let's do it this way. And we have even Attorney General of the Federation who was on the press conference confirming and affirming the decision of the Supreme Court as supreme. So, and that it takes over every other thing as a law-abiding citizen, as an ordinary citizen who is not a lawyer, I should be able to abide by that law. So this is as simple as that. So it's not like the government brought in a policy and put it on the throat of the people. It's certain organ of government that come with the policy, and the same government also look through the law and make amends of this policy. No one is saying it's a bad policy, but
Mr.
it
Garba,
takes longer time for this kind of policy to work. So that is exactly the situation. And Nigerians' understanding was very, very good.
Mr. Garba, I wonder if it's that simple, because the policy requires the approval of the president. And we've seen in the last few days, consultations with organs of government. And also we've seen the president meet with the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria many times now. So I'd like you to speak to the theory that this policy is the result of the what some would say the voice of Jacob, but the hand of Esau that is playing out. Speak to that.
You see, I personally, from my own point of view, I don't think that there is one very strong conspiracy to fight the government within the government. Of course, there are some people inside that might not necessarily want APC to continue, maybe due to their own some interests they are trying to protect. But I don't think that it is much important for us to dwell on this matter other than the solution. Our candidate has made these things categorically clear that this is the stand of our campaign and this is the stand of the APC. We have governors in Nigeria, very well performing governors that understood the system, that have been part of the system for some time. They came out emphatically clear that this policy is not in line with what we accept and that it should be thrown away and then reorganized properly for proper implementation. Again, our candidate released even a roadmap, a very stable, clear roadmap in how these policies can be implemented without affecting ordinary people. So what is happening is that I'm seeing the APC spirit in the whole activity. Why? Because APC was founded on the idea of progressivism, whereby a common man will have a voice in the way his country is governed. So a situation whereby even the government of the APC did something that affected the common man, the same APC came out and said, no, we are for the common man. We won't allow any policy that we believe is anti-common man. So it's the APC spirit manifesting itself. To the best of my knowledge, this is the kind of party that Nigerians should trust. The party that will autocorrect itself. The party that will tell itself the truth. If something goes wrong, the party came out to be the first main advocate.
Pardon me, Mr. Garba. Let me come in there.
In Ogun State.
Pardon me, Mr. Garba. Let me just come in there. It's past 7 days. The deadline given by the president, for Nigerians to be patient with him until he resolves the issue. And the president is yet to address Nigerians. And the situation is yet to ease. There's still queues at the ATM. And the CBN also has not provided an explanation on how much exactly it has released into circulation per time. Should we then be surprised if after the presidential and governorship elections, the situation returns to normal? Will it support the view then that it was a deliberate rationing of the currency to deter vote buying and to help some candidate win? Mr. Garba, I guess we have a audio connection prop challenge with Mr. Garba. Mr. Garba, are you back? Hello, Mr. Garba. Confirm if you can hear me. It appears we have.
Well, I think it's more of a network issue. Since we are talking about Naira, it shouldn't.
Network is affecting the Naira as well.
Network is definitely affecting, so many people. The kind of experience that, people have been having, especially about that issue. It will be a very significant matter for the government to attend to as far as people are concerned. And it's a conversation that we need to take, and how people can move past this in consideration of who to vote for, I guess we'll wait to see. But let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. You're still watching the 2023 verdict, and we still have with us Mr. Adamu Garba, who is a member of the All Progressives Congress. Well, I know you have been taking questions on, thank you for staying with us. I know you've been taking questions on the currency, which my colleagues were asking you earlier, but so far so good. I'm wondering, has the APC been able to put his house in order? Because so far, we've seen the president reiterate over and over again that he's now with your presidential candidate 100%. So for some people, it raises questions, because that sort of statement was something that ought to have been taken for granted. It looks like he's trying to send a message to some people within your party that the presidential candidate of your party has his full support. Why is this statement necessary, in your own opinion?
No, the president has and always have been with our presidential candidate. The president is the main, one of the main founders of the APC. So he, by blood, by sweat, by conviction, by ideology, is APC. There is no issue between our president, Muhammadu Buhari, and our principal and presidential candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There is no issue. They talk about 100% support for Asiwaju has nothing to do with trying to reaffirm that he is still there, other than the fact that it is just a political statement. When supposing you are aspiring and I am part of you, to go out and tell people that I am with you 100% means that I'm just making a normal political rhetoric of kind of emphasis, a very deep level of emphasis that there is no part or inch of me that is doing anything otherwise in order to, that is doing everything to sabotage, but to support you. So this is exactly what it is. So we shouldn't be interpreting it as if the president is trying to, he wasn't there before, but now he just came back and was trying to reaffirm that he is now 100%. There has never been a period where the president is 99% or 98% or 50% of Asiwaju. He has always been 100% from Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But we cannot be able to separate, we cannot be able to marry both governance and politics together. So the president decided to say, let me run the government while you guys run the campaign. At a certain point in time, I'm going to join you. And as he joined the campaign train, he is now making this normal rhetorical statement that, look, 100% we are all pro Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So this is just a normal political rhetoric. It has nothing to do with, he wasn't there before, he just came in now. So that was just a creation of the media.
How do we then marry that with this statement credited to the governor of Kaduna State that, you know, he's still in support of the president, but he has he has reservations about the quality of people around him who are helping to make decisions in his government. What do we make of that?
No, these are credible things, and it's not unnatural with any political transition period. When you are transitioning from an administration of one individual and administration of another, there are naturally some people within the existing setting that might not back the transition process. This has been happening. Even during Goodluck Jonathan period, there are some people inside his government that were against the government. You know, when he was aspiring, when you went back to during the President Yaradua's transition, the late President Yaradu may God rest his soul, similar thing happened within his own party. We had the same issue during Obasanjo's trying to transition from 2003 to 2007. You know, that election, there was a saboteur, including his time. So we should not disconnect it from human nature, from normal political dynamic. It is a credible alarm that he raised, and to the best of my knowledge, it has helped to unbundle a lot of things for these kind of issues to Nigeria, to the fact that almost everybody, all Nigerians are aware of the situation, and so many actions have been taken to curtail the situation. You can see now clearly that the campaign is now having no issue. All the alarms have been sounded, the recalibration has been made, and everything is moving well. So it was a credible alarm. It worked well. It is being put away beforehand. Let's go in. Let us not go with that kind of situation into election and get problem. So to the best of my knowledge, I think it's a credible action and it worked magic for the party.
Well, Mr. Garba, what do you think is the president's view about this? What do you think is the president's view about this current situation that Nigerians are grappling with, scarcity of the Naira?
I think the president is doing everything possible to bring this issue to the end. And you know very well that there was a Supreme Court judgment that came out, as I mentioned earlier, and there is a Council of State. This Council of State was summoned by the president in order to hear the opinion of the highest advisory body of the country. And a decision was being made, a press conference was issued to be able to make it clear to Nigerians that this is the situation. And I'm sure the president is working hard to fix this issue, because you can't run an election without money in the system. The whole election thing itself is an industry. So you must need money to be able to fund the logistics, to be able to fund the operations, to be able to fund every other part of election. Even the INEC, the electioneering body itself.
Yeah, you've just told us what he's doing, the kind of meetings he's having. But we want to hear, what do you think his view is? Because right now there seems to be a lot of confusion everywhere.
I trust the president. I believe in his love and patriotism for Nigeria, and I believe he wants free and fair election, and I believe he is in support of the APC, and I believe he also listens to the cries of Nigerians. So whatever decision the president is taking, I want to 100% believe is in complete interest of Nigeria and Nigerians, and he's doing everything possible to fix this problem.
That then means that at the moment, there isn't any position on his part at the moment.
Yeah, if there's any position from the president, it will be made public. But I'm sure, very, very sure, that something very important is being done to make sure that we solve the problem. But if there is any position that is known, of course, the spokespersons of the president are going to clarify to Nigerians.
Do you think the president owes Nigerians an apology? I mean, if we look at the number of videos that have gone around in terms of the difficulty that people have had trying to get access to their own money. I mean, it is unprecedented that people have to be on queues, people have to, in some instances, cry. People have had to strip themselves just to, get attention, to be able to get access to their own money. Don't you think that either the president or the central bank governor owe Nigerians an apology for the difficulty that they've had to go through as a result of this policy?
Yes, I believe the president acted in the best interest of Nigeria and Nigerians, and I believe he was advised to his conviction that this policy is going to work. You knew what happened after his meeting with the governors and the central bank. It was clearly stated that the president was informed, but the amount of information he had was not the same thing with what came out to be in that meeting. The CBN extracted about 2.something trillion out of the economy, but they are only able to print 300 billion. 300 billion cannot be able to par with 2 trillion. So it's a problem. So there is this gap. So what I want to say here is that the CBN have to be very public about its own distribution of money. In fact, since we have digital systems now, it is very important for us to know which bank has what quantity of money. There are so many messages that are circulating on WhatsApp that some banks are getting 10 million daily, some banks are getting 1 million daily. But all those kind of fake news or maybe information that are circulating.
Mr. Garba, while we all, continue to ask the CBN for more transparency, I'm talking about admitting that people have had to suffer as a result of this policy for no fault of theirs, especially the most vulnerable in society. Don't you think that this government, which you are a supporter of, owes the people an apology for this sort of policy which has inflicted pain on the most vulnerable of people in this country?
I believe, yes, Central Bank owe Nigerians an explanation properly and an apology and transparency. These things are very clear. This is the situation that we have in the country, and we need transparency. We need to understand how much goes to each of the banks so that Nigerians can be able to channel their own energies to go to where they need to access cash.
I find it interesting that you only talk about the central bank. What about the government that approved the policy? The president approved that policy.
You see, Maupe, government is an institution. It is governed by different organs. And sometimes when information comes to you, it will come to you with a perfect design. Almost every question you ask is been tackled, it's been answered. What will you do as the president? Will you have to go to the street and try to ensure that you plug the things yourself?
Well,
no.
Mr. Garba, when you keep talking about, when you talk about the CBN advise the president to do this, Mr. Mayfele advised him to do that, was Mr. Mayfele there in 1984 when the president took this same kind of, came about with this kind of policy at the same time?
Yes,
why are we blaming it on Mayfele now?
No. You see, at that time when the president took that decision, he meant well for Nigeria. And this same time, he also meant well for Nigeria. So there's no junk saying about that. The policy itself was not a bad deal. We are transitioning from a normal cash economy to central bank digital banking system. This is something that globally it was acknowledged even in the last economy.
So the thing now is, why pass the buck? He took a similar decision in 1984, 83 at the time, the same kind of policy. Why all of a sudden now we're not saying, oh no, CBN advised this? So it means he knows what this policy is about. He can't claim ignorance, can he?
That is why I'm telling you it's happening. No, that's what I'm telling you, that policy in itself is a very fantastic policy. It's a completely revolutionary policy that is going to help Nigeria to reposition us.
Is he helping us now? Is he helping us right now?
You said?
Is he helping us now?
Yeah, well, that's why I'm saying the implementation process that we have the problem. And the organ responsible for the implementation is the Central Bank of Nigeria. So when there are issues from the Central Bank, Nigerians, the government, the system, the courts, and every system is asking CBN to ratify its issue.
All right, so now,
that we have a very stable system here.
If you say one is a good policy, but implementation is a challenge. Now, yes, if that were the case, and the president sees that, okay, well, there's a little challenge with implementation, shouldn't he then have taken the decision? Because if he has, you would know his position. You would have said it here, but you haven't said it because you don't know it. He hasn't taken any.
No, Chambali. Let me explain. I told you that the president had a series of meetings with the governors. He had meetings with the central bank, attorney general. He had
What's the outcome? What's the outcome of the meeting?
And at the end of each of these meetings, a decision has been taken and a press conference is released. They are all in the public domain. So to say that the president has not taken any stand on this issue is grossly unfair to the president, simply because he has been very active in trying to bring this issue to a perfect closure.
So what is his stand?
He's still working hard to ensure that this issue is attended to. So the fact that there was no categorical, in fact, to me, there is even a categorical statement. The categorical statement was, look, pump more money, central bank. If you cannot do that, then make sure that you also recycle the old currency.
Was that the president or the Council of State?
This is Council of State. Who is the chairman of the Council of State? Is the president.
So is the CBN...
Whatever decision that came out from the Council of State, up to the president in his natural consultative approach to governance, decided to bring the Council of State to hear their own point of view. And after doing that, he decided to issue a statement from the Council of State under his chairmanship. And as the chairman of an institution, it means I take responsibility for the decision.
Well, I heard you asking that, you know, the banks and the CBN should publish how much has been given. So if the CBN, okay, first of all, do you think that that directive, even though NCS is advisory to the country, Do you think that is being heeded to by the CBN, what you describe as the directive by the president? Are they obeying it?
I think personally they are obeying it because it is a bank. It is governed by the law, and the law clearly and the executive arm of the government clearly issued a statement. I'm sure the CBN is working on it. It is it's not this kind of policies are not something that you can just wake up one day and just get it working. And also to reverse it to takes a process, takes a procedure. There are a lot of checks and balances. There are a lot of bureaucracy that bring the policy to action. And of course, for you to be able to rewind it and recalibrate it to suit the current realities, there are a lot of procedure. So we have to give a little bit of excuse, but I am very, very, very certain that the central bank is not going to go against the decision of the president.
If you say that they are obeying it, help us out then. Give us the figures. How much have they released ever since the president spoke?
I'm sure if you direct this question to the central bank, they will be able to let you know.
No, I'm directing it to you because you say you think they are obeying it. So you tell us.
Yes, that is why I say that we demand for transparency ourselves from the CBN to understand how the money is getting distributed. But I am not going to sit here and believe that CBN is not doing anything about it. I am not going to believe that. I believe that there are a lot of wonderful people inside the central bank that are doing their job. So the only thing is this: let them be more transparent, let them be more forward with Nigerians, let us know what is happening. Simple as that. Similar to the way you're asking questions, I'm asking questions too. But I don't want to altogether believe that they want to do their hands. Nothing.
Looking at the confusion, I mean, and I'm not the one just using these words. On the front pages of the dailies this morning, it was also reported that, you know, confusion is a state where a lot of Nigerians are. Banks are refusing to hold money, etc. Looking at the confusion that has trailed this policy under the administration of this government, which is headed by the president, who is a member of your party, how do you intend to tell Nigerians to vote your party again, considering just how it is handled? And this last one of these important policies which your government has come up with. How do you convince Nigerians that your party is capable of governance?
It is very clear. This is the party that have carried Nigerians away from the mismanagement, corruption, confusion, and destruction of the PDP, and now brought it back in line by giving massive infrastructure investment, massive reforms, and organization of the entire system, and putting Nigeria on the path to prosperity and growth over a period of 7.5 years. The same party. How can we talk about the question of governance of this particular party? Now, the party, in its effort to bring about the revolutionary policy, you know, still better the causes of the Nigerian public, you know, had implemented it, but it now had a little bit of issues in the system. So the party is also self-organizing itself to ensure that this works. And the issue, the concern and the alarm was raised from within the party. We didn't even wait for the people outside to say no. It is our principal that began to say, look, this policy is not right. And we have senior leadership of our parties, from Governor Ganduje to Governor Nasir El-Rufai to Governor Yahya Bello to Governor Motawale, and several governors in our party came out and said, no, we disagree with this policy. How can you compare this very democratic, very people-centered party with any other political party in Nigeria? I bet you if this policy will have been implemented by the PDP, I'm sure by now they will have been arresting every other person that is talking against it. But in our own case, we were able to organize it within, we were able to contest it within, we were able to correct it, and Nigerians are watching. Nigerians know what we have done. Nigerians knew that we stood by them.
I don't know whether you saw the statement of. I don't know whether you saw the statement of the Nigeria Governors Forum that talked about how monies, people's monies are being confiscated, and how this policy is capable of throwing the economy into a recession. I mean, when you say it's just a little problem, it's a problem capable of throwing an entire economy into a recession. I don't know whether you understand the weight of what has happened or what has gone wrong with this policy. So if Nigerians are to, make a decision based on this one last policy, I don't know how many more, I mean, how much room the president has before May 29th. But if they're to weigh their decisions based on this before the elections, there are people who will wonder whether or not how your party will fare come February the 25th or even March for the governorship elections that will come up sometime in March.
That is why I said, yes, there is a policy mishap that has happened in an effort to make sure that the country become better and the monetary system become more strengthened, more empowered as we move into the digital environment of banking system. But then the policy implementation went wrong, and the party itself auto-corrected it. The party itself auto-corrected itself. So when you look at this, and Nigerians are kept informed at every point, from north, west, east, and south, Nigerians are aware of what is happening. So Nigerians have no party to trust other than the APC, because it's only the APC that cares for them. It's only the APC that is going to confront whatever that goes against them, even from within. There is no better system like that, and Nigerians are trusting us much more. If you go to the street now, Nigerians know where to point their blame at. Nigerians also accepted the fact that APC is doing this thing in the best interest to better the life of ordinary citizens. But since there is an issue...
All right, Mr. Garba, I think you should go, you said we should go to the street. Maybe we should try the banks. I think that's where a lot of Nigerians are right now, waiting for the money to get to them in the bank. So maybe you go to the banks and hear what they have to say. You get a direct feedback.
I was actually in the bank myself. I was in the bank yesterday trying to get just 20,000 Naira cash, and it was very difficult, though I was able to get it, but I have to follow queue. So this is what ordinary Nigerians are facing. All of us are facing these challenges, but I'm telling you, Nigerians are aware of the source of the problem, and Nigerians knew that APC has done everything to fix this problem.
Thank you, Mr. Garba.
APC, and Nigerians know that
we had to anchor at this point. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Adamu Garba, Deputy Director for the Independent Campaign Council of the APC. We will be back in just a moment. Stay with us.